Morning. Hi, Des. How you doing? Hi, Z. Hi, Graham. Hi, Z. Right. So, no, I'm doing, right, I've got to be a bit more disciplined today. So I need to do because that's now in the splurge column ready for listening. I'm going to do a splurge first, timed, and then we're going to discovery, and then we're going to do a discovery session on something, on a new track, which I've moved forward. So that's what we're doing. So I went through the splurges because I've got this mounting splurging column which I need to listen to and either move things into sketchbook. It's easy, I'll just show you. Yeah, so I've got all of this here. This is like loads of splurges. I've got to get that empty and filled up with new stuff. And then I've got to do some discovery sessions or move things into the sketchbook, and that goes for draft and done. So I just need to move stuff. There's been stuff sitting here for ages, and I just need to make a decision on what I'm going to do with it. All right, okay. So how are they? Do they work? It's really interesting. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Time splurge, and then we'll do a discovery session. That's the idea. Right, just finished my tea. Wake up. I'm getting there. It's tea, not coffee. I've run out of coffee, you know. So, well, they're not as thick as I thought. So, it's actually playable in that regard. Although I keep touching the upper string with my index finger, but it can be just added. It can be adjusted. I suppose it. Right, brilliant. Well, I stocked up on super glue yesterday. Which seems to work okay. Right, here we go then. Timed. Right, where are we? Splurging. Okay. Yeah, I'll finish this bit off. To do a quick arrangement. Keep these faders at the top. So save, and I'll tell you what, just need to do breakdown bit. That's it, right. Save and bounce. Right, and I need to do a quick wins and opportunities. Idea done. Moved quickly. Problems. What was it? Exhale, bug, fix, opportunity, remove, effects group, on vocal stops. It's pretty good. Okay, hyperdrive. Let's see what this is like. Okay, I'm back. Right, let's have a quick look at the chart. Okay, view from Izzy. Wow, spent a year with vibrato alone. Oh, that's good. Hi Nathan. Yes, Kavinsky. Yeah, it's quite similar, isn't it? Right, okay, let's have a listen to this. And I'll make a list. We'll have one direct listen. Yes, my SH101 basses are really knackered at the minute. I'd love to know why that is. Right, that's going to have to be fixed. Oh. Try something here. Okay. first one will do. Chart. I can't even remember how I learned to do vibrato. Okay. have this in, did I? That's why. Right, okay. I'll just do this again. Okay, and there we go, a discovery session. And bounce. Right. Okay. So, Tim, what was the plans for your own music again? To release absolutely tons of it is the plan. So we can have a look at the plan. It's going to be like starting my career again. That's what it's going to be like. So this will be interesting. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 in release so far. They'll need mixing though, and they've all got they've all got guitars on. They're all done. Hi Carl. So that's 6 already done that need mixing. So I've got I need to meet up with Des, which I'll have to do this week, about artwork. And then I've got to mix them. So mixing's like a real issue in my process at the minute. So initially I'm trying to do as much of the heavy lift. Hi Carl. I have to do as much of the heavy lift as I can in the template, which varies, which makes things more complicated. Because as I was kind of transitioning from not having an M1 computer to an M1, certain plugins work and certain didn't, so things are a bit mixed up. So things might sound a little bit different, because I'm not prepared to like kind of use the same sort of setup for everything if the plugins are already there. But generally it's sitting down and doing the mix because it's my least favourite part of the process. I used to love mixing, by the way, but like now I just want to make stuff. Not sure about the heads. Very Andy Warhol, Graham. But thank you. So that's the plan. And then the other plan is so for everybody who's on the stream, I'm sure you'd like tracks to jam on. So I'm going to go through all the sort of kind of stuff that I've done that I'm not using, and I'm going to put that up on, I'll do a quick master and then put them up on Bandcamp, and they can sit there for a bit. And then if anybody wants to buy them and download them, then they can. And then I suppose at some point, when the backlog eases up on Dreamstream, because there's, for Dreamstream, I gave, so Thomas does the mastering, so I gave him 401 tracks in total, which is like an absolutely massive amount of stuff. So there's still kind of a backlog to get through for Dreamstream. And then, yeah, so I'm probably going to put all the jam tracks on Bandcamp, and then if anybody wants to buy them, they can. Which I think would be a good thing. And then it's kind of, everything's out there working for me. Yes, I did say thanks. Yeah, 401. So that was on a previous automatic music machine. So yes, there was 401 ideas. Well, finished tracks. And then there'll be the ideas as well. So all the stuff that was finished, I went through and just edited, because some stuff had to be edited down to like 2.5 minutes. Yeah. I remember the one, and then it was like one of these things, like I had to be dragged to actually do the edits, and then once I started, it took about 2 weeks to sort of edit, because a lot of them needed restructuring. So I had to do that. But I learned to quickly edit. Doing that many tracks and getting them all down to 2.5 minutes, you really do learn how to make quick decisions. So I did that. And that was the plus, learning to edit, learning to structure music in a really fast way. So I did that. That's a lot. Well, yeah. In fact, there weren't there were finished tracks, there was stuff that was done. So I wouldn't have gone into release with them, so they wouldn't have been mixed. Apart from the odd one. There was the odd one that actually was like finished. There's this track on there called Crazy, so that'll be one of the really like totally finished ones. Right, where's my phone? So yeah, and then at some point I'll go through the sketchbook and what I've got in this machine. I'll put that up on Bandcamp under a different name, and then anybody who wants to wants those tracks to use, they can. That said, how does a track become a McRocklin and Hutch track? Just when we both agree that we like the vibe. So I think that's how it works, like how many years for 400 tracks? All right. So 2000, so it was probably done 2022. So about 2 years to do that. But there was more than that. Yeah, so it took 2 years. But yeah, there was like, and then at one point in that 2 years, I was still doing dance music and McRocklin Hutch. I was still releasing house music at the same time. So we've released something like 22, 23, 24 tracks over that time. And then I've added at least a further 10 releases in that early stage of house music, I think. So quite a lot. I was releasing about 25 tracks a year in the height of things. Thereabouts. Right, Nathan, so they are going to be... I need to get to that. Right, so we're talking about this. Oh god, that needs it. That's can have the release sticker on that. Boom. All of these will be released one a month, so I'm 6 months ahead of schedule. So that's what will happen there. One a month, thereabouts. Unless I get like loads of material through, and then I'll start kind of doing 3 or something, or like I'll do an EP here and there. That's what may happen, depending. But it'll be an interesting time getting the music out. It's synthwave, it's shredwave. It's such a small niche. So I don't think it's going to be easy. Put it that way. I mean, when you think of like McRocklin and Hutch, I mean, our Spotify will hover around the 10,000 mark monthly listeners. We've had some, we've had some pretty big collaborations there. Jordan Rudez and Michelangelo Batio. Yeah, that'll be it. It'll be just Hutch. That's exactly what it'll be, Hutch. We've had Mark out of Dream Theatre, Mark out of Dragon Force, which is just like absolutely amazing having people like that on your music, but doesn't move the needle very much. However, this is something I'm looking into at the minute. Does it? Thanks, Nathan. I think it's just it just depends. Like usually I'll get dead excited about it, and then when it's finished, I'll send him it, and he'll usually go. Usually that excitement continues. And then he'll play on it, and then I think if he's comfortable about playing on the track and not struggling with it, or he has ideas and the ideas are pretty much flowing, you'll go for it. I mean, there has been a few tracks where it's just kind of, being excited, and then kind of the energy's gone, and then it's been shelved. I can't remember at the minute, but usually I would say 9 times out of 10, when I've got the vibe and the vibe's good, he usually goes with it, and then it's just a go, really. So yes, is there something that determines the decision? Well, other than that, outside of McRocklin and Hutch, there is, and this is what it is. I asked myself this one question: is this music a good example of what it wants to be? And that's it. And that is it. And if it's yes, then that's the decision. That's a release decision. Yeah, no sleep's great. I remember writing that. It was the start of the pandemic. They sit in a sketchbook and then they end up on Dreamstream, or they're going to end up on Bandcamp. And then people can use them, and then if I want to go back to something and release it, then I'll just go and take that track down and do something with it. That's brilliant, Nathan. I remember writing it. That track was done really quick. It was like done in it was, splurged, and that was it. Yes, there'll be singles, and the reason they're singles is because every time when you put a single out, it's an event, isn't it? So it's going to be the best way for me to grow, I think, doing the singles. And then possibly EPs if I'm just like everything goes out of control and I've got tons and tons of ideas and music finished, then I'll do that. But I must admit it takes, now I'm doing guitar, it's an extra layer of stuff, so it's not as easy to be prolific. I'm working as quick as I can. The last track, what we did, writing the solo and getting it all finished, I think we did it in how many sessions? 4 sessions. So it's about an hour and a half each session. So, we're getting the guitar tracks done in 3 to 4 hours. That's not bad, is it? Once you get your head down. But it does take a bit of time. And at some point I'll have to increase the amount of time I'm spending in the studio as well. I think Thomas he's wanting to work on some new stuff. Yeah, usually it's me doing this, and then sending the idea to him. Saying that, there's been a couple of tracks. Blackline, he started that. So that started off with that funny glitchy doing glick kind of riff. So that was one. There was another one we did actually, which we didn't release in the end. So there's been a couple, but usually we're starting with synths. I can write with guitars, but I find it very challenging trying to come up with stuff on a guitar that's going to sound, that's going to sound like me, unique, It's very difficult, so I have to kind of have this backdrop of electronic music because that's what I do. Do I shred on? Yeah, quite a few tracks. So there's Fingers of Fury and then Pseudo. So I do the first solo on Pseudo. Just before Jordan comes in with his main thing. That's me. The album, I'm doing quite a bit of shredding on that. Sometimes it's 50-50 me and Thomas almost. So yeah, Fingers of Fury. There's a few. Blackline, I do the solo on Blackline. What's the other track? Waiting for the Right Time. I do the solo on that. There's about 6 or 7 tracks that I play guitar on. Italian Disco, there's a lead break, that's me. Yeah, I'm the first solo. Yeah. So I do, yes, I do the solo. I do like the very first break on that, and then I do like all the rhythm guitars and the melody. That's all me. I wrote that and the track. So there's a fair amount of me playing guitar, slowly easing back into it, and like now it's like the full thing, isn't it? I'm back to where I was just before I stopped kind of shredding publicly. I've always tried to maintain a little bit of technique, just by proxy, faffing on and doing stuff. And obviously I play at work quite a bit, so I've always kept up my guitar playing, but just nothing like this. I mean, like now it's like full on. I mean, I'm off on holiday, and the last 2 days I've spent hours and hours and hours working on 3-1-3 scales. And I've been really monitoring what I'm doing on guitar as well. So I've wrote down all the challenges, all the problems that I have. I shouldn't say challenges. Ready for my next guitar lesson. So I've booked in next week, Thursday 3 p.m. I'll be attending a guitar lesson. Somebody's going to teach me. Can anybody guess who the guitar teacher will be? Any guesses? Ah, right. You got to remember the name. Jordan? No, it's a guitarist. Oh yes, Des, Rick. Rick Graham. Yes, there you go. Rick Graham. He is the man to iron out at the minute a few of my issues. I wrote a list actually. So I don't mind. You see, I'm not proud. I don't mind saying I get, because I'm not going to struggle on, am I, with my own imagining what to do when I can just go to somebody else and pay them some money. All right, yeah. So I was just wanting to get some insights, and I need to be more specific about this. So, right, Rick Graham lessons. So the first thing I just quickly wrote some ideas down. Improve using 3-1-3 patterns. Well, that's not very specific, so I need to elaborate on that. Hybrid picking, second finger rubbing against first finger. There's a problem. Raspy notes with first finger on left hand. So that's like a kind of thing I need to work on. 4-finger control exercises. I want to keep, my technique's pretty good. It's quite low on the thing, but I do have a wild kind of Paul Gilbert 4-finger that flaps about a bit. And I'm just wondering if I can get that closer. Basically, I want my hand to look like it's not moving and just floating across the guitar neck. That's what I want. And then I want to have a little look at slanted picking for sweep arps. So there's something going on. So I'm going through this. What was it I was doing? Yeah, it's when you're doing sequences, and it's what's it? There's a bit where you have to do alternate picking. So it's like working on that. I need to sort that out. I have to be proper warmed up for it. And then I need to like look at some exercises that'll help me maintain my alternate picking, even though I'm doing a lot of economy picking. So that's really because I notice that when I practice a lot, it becomes really horrible. I even get that slight bouncing motion, and I have to do a few exercises to kind of pull it in line. So I just wonder if there's anything around that. Then we're going to do 3 notes per string, ascending and descending, economy picked. So the idea around that is I need to be able to work out ways of controlling it so it doesn't sound like triplets all the time. I find it really quite challenging. It takes a while for me to kind of remove the 3 note per string rhythmic thing, because you're physically tied to that, to naturally doing that rhythm. I'm not describing it very well. So yes, just keeping those subdivisions even. So that's what we'll be working on. Right, okay, so let's have a look. This. So it's fine. Oh, you can see there. See how it catches? Now it's alright when I'm doing wide interval stuff. I don't mind it. But when I'm doing stuff, that's starting to really irritate. It's just catching it there. I don't want to, the thing is, I don't want to start messing with the angle of my hand, because the idea is I'm, it's one hand position for everything, isn't it? Yeah. See? So when I'm doing stuff where it's really hindering me. But that's the rubbing thing. But it's okay with sort of certain things. So I'm going to get that ironed out. So there's a few things there to get done. But I love having a lesson, it's brilliant. Yeah, it does have volume. Just going to be asked to switch it on. Yes. Well, the reason I suddenly got into hybrid picking was because I was being coached, and I did this exercise basically where you all of the kind of music motifs that you have that you keep repeating that start to annoy you. It was kind of looking at that, because when you're playing those things, those kind of block licks that you've always done, and you'll play them and you think, oh, why did I do that? You're trying to get out of it, break that box. Well, I did a brainstorming session on how, because those things that you've wrote, right, actually come from a place where they used to work and you used to like them. So it's good base material. You've just got to repurpose it, which I thought was a really interesting thing to do. So if you look at sort of all the licks that you've been playing, right, that you're just sick of and tired of doing, but they're kind of there in your muscle memory, and when you're improvising, you'll just kind of churn them out and then just get annoyed with yourself. So I identified all of that, And it wasn't just for that, it was for production as well. But I really focused it on guitar. And it was just the best exercise ever, because what I did is I identified all the things that I would play that would annoy me, and then I came up with strategies of how I could repurpose them. And one of the ways was to actually just change the sequences. And I couldn't change the sequences enough picking that they would be completely removed from what they were. So it ended up that actually hybrid picking was the way, because I wanted to take what I was doing and reshuffle it and do wider interval jumps and all this kind of stuff and be able to do it really easy. So I just repurposed. So the first thing was I did the hybrid picking thing, right? And then the next thing was then it was the economy picking. And the reason I started doing economy picking was, again, there was certain things I was starting to naturally do economy picking, but it was tend to do like how blues people do it. So I was kind of just dipping into it, and then I realised that I wanted to play bigger sequences, and I've got this idea of doing I wanted to be more free when playing pentatonic stuff. And then I stumbled across this idea of 3-1-3-1 combinations. And at first, when I started doing the 3-1-3-1 combinations, it was all like hammer-ons from nowhere, which is incredibly demanding. And because I spend a lot of my time at work on an acoustic guitar, it was very difficult to like kind of use it and at work and if I'm doing an improvisational situation, because you just can't hear it, you know. But great practice for your hammer-ons, obviously, on an acoustic guitar, brilliant. But then I just needed a way that I could easily kind of play these things like how I can on electric guitar, doing the hammer-ons from nowhere. So economy picking was the kind of way to do it. Also, then I realised that actually there's a gap between sort of when I'm playing legato and when I'm playing picking. It's one or the other. And what I wanted is a way that I could easily just blur between the two things more naturally. So that's another reason. But the point being is that like the reason I've invested all this time in these techniques is because they're aimed towards something very specific about my style. What I haven't done is just tip time into kind of learn these techniques and not actually know what I'm going to use them for. So in short, I identified a problem and then used these techniques for the solution. Much easier. And then basically your exercises and everything like that are geared around things that you're already playing. So, when I got these techniques, I was almost using them straight away in my playing. And like now you see me use them when I'm recording them, I mean, doing the hybrid picking, it's been, since I've said economy picking, I've only been saying probably barely a month now that I am now doing economy picking, and I'm already using it in recordings. Because, it's there, it's part of the style, it had a natural place for it to fit. And I had specific things that I needed to work on to be able to kind of add those in to what I'm doing. So that's how it worked. Just a brilliant exercise. So in short, it's just look at a lick that you're sick to death of playing, that you used to love, and work out a way that you can, repurpose it. And then see if, maybe repurposing it means there's some tapping involved, or hybrid, or economy picking, or using all three things at the same time. So that's why sort of Rick's a natural choice, because when you watch him play, he does all those techniques and they're all merged quite nicely. They all flow very well. So yes, try it, Carl. I mean, these are the kind of things I love coaching on, because although there are skills there that I've installed into myself, there's a reason I've installed them, It's like the YouTube thing, isn't it? It's like everything's about the how. This is how you do hybrid picking. But why do you want to do it? So I worked out what the why was with this exercise, and then I realised what the how was. I needed to do hybrid picking, or I needed to do economy picking, or I needed to do hammer-ons from nowhere. Well, actually, it didn't require any discipline. This is the thing. I just did the thought exercise, and then the solution just jumped at me, and I thought, wow, that's exciting. I can't wait to get started. And I was immediately working on the thing, you know. Yeah. So there was no motivation or discipline needed, in fact. As soon as I start needing discipline, like, I will, do something, then I know something's wrong, so I need to look at it. The only time I'll do discipline is if I'm forming a new habit. And even then, I know that it's only going to take a week to 14 days to get something locked on. So yeah, basically plugs in and uploads. So like when I started these live streams, what just before this, what was happening is I was getting up in the mornings, but it was getting a bit sketchy. It was like sometimes I was sleeping in, I was like, and then getting up and then trying to do it later on in the day and what have you, and then getting up some mornings, and it was just irregular. And I think part of that is because I was losing the purpose of what I was doing. So then I thought, right, well, how can I kind of get myself out there, because I need to do streaming, and how do I do, my music all at the same time? And it was obvious that like I had to set up YouTube and start streaming. So like now I'm up Monday to Friday, very rarely miss a session. And it's great because what it is because I'm going live and I know that you guys are going to be there, there's accountability. So when I first started doing it, it was like, right, I've got to turn up, people are waiting. And that helped me with the discipline. And then after a fortnight, it's locked on. It's like going to the gym, isn't it? When people miss the gym, not that I would know, because like I've never seen the inside of a gym, right? But apparently, although I have done, actually I love running, but I've been injured for ages, so I can't run properly anymore till I allow it to heal. But anyway, when people miss their exercise, it's like, it doesn't feel good. It feels like there's a gap. So it's a bit like if I miss one of these streams, I don't feel good about it, So I'm motivated. So really, I just get up and that's it, and the whole thing's automatic. I can't even remember like what happened this morning. I just like it was almost like I appeared here with a cup of tea in my hand. Like everything I do is like just automatic. There's no thought to it. Yeah. Yeah, that's like me. That's the exercise. Hybrid picking is blasphemy. Acoustic guitar brotherhood shall find good burning. Do cross instrument. Right, okay. Oh, thanks, Carl. So yes, the power of a habit is a wonderful thing. So there's that. The other thing about, the reason I do get up in the morning is because if you really want to get good at something, to form a habit, you have to do it after something that you always do. And for now, I always wake up. So that's the idea. As soon as I go to the toilet, after that, I'm down here making music. Oh, thanks, Carl. It's lovely. But so there's you need a trigger for your habit. So getting up's the trigger for me. Excellent, I am, yeah. Talking about habits. So you have your trigger, and then you have the action. So for me, it's like sitting here making music. And then you can have a reward after. Now, not very good on the rewarding myself, so what I tend to do is I tend to do a little bit of practice, which is a reward, I suppose. But having a cup of tea, going to see the family for a few minutes before I do the next thing, which will be, doing some practice. So sometimes I go for a walk in the park, which is lovely. So I'll do something fun after the session as a reward. So it's important to have a reward. It's also important to finish your sessions while you're still having fun. So, and this is especially when you're starting out making your habit. Okay, you've got to see it like, when you're at school and, because I had dyslexia, I just struggled at school. However, I was very good at playtime, right? And like sometimes I'd have, despite the pain and misery of school, right? Because I shouldn't have gone to school. I should have just been left to run in a field with a guitar, right? Despite the pain of school, I'd have a great time at break times. Like sometimes you'd have that extra special, brilliant game you'd play with your friends, and I'd forget about the pains of the day, having to sit in class, and I'd be excited to get back to school, just for that, for the break times. Which is why I went there. I went for break times. But so kind of ending something when you're happy and excited is important, because you're gonna want to come back for more. And that goes for everything, when you're doing your guitar practice, try and end on a plus rather than because you can overplay, and then you what actually happens then is it's just your ego kicking in, and you have to stop and have a break, really. So that's important. I fall foul to that actually quite a bit, and I actually, I tend to get injured doing that. Yeah, that's really good, Carl, because the ideas are the most important thing, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, Thomas is great. Because he was doing Find Your Voice, don't you? So it's like, so I really like the guitar stuff I did on the last track. And because all of that writing's done literally on the seat of my pants while you kind of guys watch, I'm not fully aware at the time of all the emotions I'm putting out. But when I listen to that guitar playing, and then I hear some of the emotion that I put behind it, it's like a window. It's like a window to my soul, and I can only hear that, and I can only see myself when I hear that music back. And I think that's my voice coming out. Not fully, but I get a glimpse. I get a glimpse of who I am. And on a deeper level with music, you got to ask who are we? Who am I? Who are you? And one of the answers that I came up with was, it was when I was doing coaching. It was when I did this group and we did 6 months of flow practice, right? And it was like one of the questions was, when you have a thought, where does it come from? Can you point to it? And it's like, usually it's in your head, or some people might go down here, but usually it's in your head. And but if you're aware of that thought, okay, then is that you? Well, no, it's not you. The person observing that thought is you. And it took me a while to get this concept right, because I was thinking, and a lot of, when you're talking to other creatives, they think that voice is them, and they kind of obey it, but it's not. It's the ego. I didn't realise this. So there's lots of books on this that I mentioned before. In a Game of Music's a great one. That the guy there, Barry, I can't remember his last name, refers to it as self one. So you'll have heard me talk about self one. Self one is the critical self. So I realised that isn't me. That's just the part of your brain that's evolved to keep you safe. Is where that is. So the way, I might talk to my partner, my kids, the way I talk to you, it's all kind of self-one that's sort of make me behave in a certain way. But self-two is an interesting place to be, because self-two is where all the limitless potential is. Okay? And what do I mean by that? Well, when you're doing a gig and you do your first song, there's loads of self-one, isn't it? You're being dead careful, loads of like negative narrative circuitries going like, oh, you'll make a mistake, what if they don't like it, da, da, da. And you get through that, and then eventually when you get into the gig, there's a point where time dilates and it goes very, very quickly. A part of the brain that degraded. Well, which part? Self-one or self-two? But then when you get into it and the ideas are flowing and you feel like you're making decisions effortlessly and it just comes out, this is what we call self-two. And self-two, you're in the moment, there's no timeline. You see, like self-one travels up a timeline, so it's like looking at the past and it's trying to predict possible future outcomes, okay? Whereas self-two is just in the middle. Now, if you're listening to self-one, doing this you're making music or you're trying to play a solo, okay, you're not listening to the music, you're not actually taking in what's happening in the real world. And there's only so much information we can take in. So as soon as you're listening to self-one, are you listening to the music? No, you're not. So it's absolutely no wonder that's where kind of you start making mistakes or not making as good a decisions as you could, because you're starting to plan things. You're not in the moment, you're either in the past or you're in the future. So self-two's the place where we want to be, and this is where I try to get into. Like today, most of the time was self-two. Because there is no timeline. But then I realised actually, well, who am I? Which is the question I was trying to answer, wasn't it? And when I get to experience who I am, it's self-two. So when I'm playing music and I'm improvising and I'm not on the timeline, that must be me. That's purely me in the moment, probably fractionally behind by milliseconds, but as far as you can get in the moment, where there's zero time, that's when I experience who I am. And then what's interesting, is when I experience who Tim is, it's gone, isn't it? You can't really remember it. But when I record a solo and I'm truly in flow, that's where this weird thing is happening, is because I can then hear who I am. It is a voice, and it is an inner voice, and it's a very deep voice. And it's very, very revealing, very interesting. And that's the power of music, and that's why I do it, and that's why I work in a hospital, because people who experience that, it's so powerful, it's just so transforming. It makes me feel great, Well, to be serious, it doesn't matter that you can be 90% mechanical. Right. Yes, and that's part of flow as well. So what that is it's Chicks and Me How, isn't it? So what does he say that is? Feedback. So having feedback is a part of getting flow, so that gets you into flow. Consequences, high consequences, immediate feedback are things that kind of get you into that. So I get the immediate feedback here, knowing that you guys are watching, which tends to get me into flow. Yes, attention, that's also, yeah. Very good, is he? So there you go, some thoughts. I'm what you call a therapeutic musician, so it's music coach. So it's similar to a music therapist. It's the same level. I'm actually the only one in my CBU in the north, and basically the difference is I just go on the wards and I work directly with patients en masse. So every day I'm on a ward, playing, creating, and doing music. And the work I do is all clinical. So usually when you're a music therapist, you sit under psychology, whereas I sit, similar thing, I sit under occupational therapy. So I'll collaborate with occupational therapy and speech and language. Is how I kind of work that. And then what I do is I design stuff so they can achieve their clinical outcomes in certain areas. And what I work with, so I'll work with a variety of patients. So at the moment I do high dependency addictions, I do autism, I do severe learning difficulties, and I also do personality disorders. So those are all the kind of different areas that I work into, which is pretty much everything, to be fair. Your attention often is guided by mechanical things, your associations, etc. These are just randomly created connections which are hard to be called you. It's just you accumulate the garbage that rules you. Yep, so yes, I mean that's like self 1. So self 2 is where we want to be. That's where I want to be anyway. I love and that's why I play music, and it allows me to experience who I am. But I can highly recommend, In a Game of Music. I think that's a great book. There's a few that I keep coming back to, and one is The Music Lesson. Victor Wooten is really good. In a Game of Music. Rise of Superman is really good. Yeah, it goes down very well. I love it, I mean, we do all sorts, again, because it's like the coaching thing. So when I'm working with people, I'm just, I'm not installing skills. I'm just, getting them to create straight away and getting them to experience that creative process. Because once you experience the creative process, you can apply it to all areas of your life. So it tends to get people really engaging with other services. Yes, that's true. So I mean, it's really, really popular what I do, and people do engage with it because of that. It's incredibly powerful music, especially in that setting. Everybody should do music, shouldn't they? That's just a great, But and then obviously then the other thing that will happen is then if people want a skill, then I can start installing skills after that. But it's always facilitating skills that already people have. So there's in my work and in everything I do, there's the core beliefs. So the core beliefs, so I've probably ran through this before, is that, you know, we've already got the skills to create, you know, good music. We can create music as good as anybody else. And then the third one is we can be creative and we can create music under any circumstances. You know, I can stand at a bus stop and make something on my phone, can't I? I can sit and write some lyrics. I can sit and write an idea down. So we can always make music. It doesn't matter how, you know, limitations are good. You know, creativity, artistry lives within limitations. Yeah, that's true. Good amplifier. I mean, sometimes I just enjoy getting lost in my thoughts about music. Like, I love, you know, I've been looking at this and imagining, you know, when I haven't got a guitar. Not that though. Imagining what that sounds like. So there's a book, what was the book called? Because it was like, there was one bit in it I found really inspiring. And it was just about this guy who was, I think he was in a concentration camp. And it might have been the happiness advantage. And what he did to actually get through it, there was him and some friends, and they used to play mental chess. And it kept them all well, basically. So what they would do is they would memorise the chessboard in their heads. Which is incredible, isn't it? No chessboard, just playing mental chess. It's a thing. And they just remember it like where the coordinates are by the numbers on the grid that they would have. Which I think's amazing. So it can even make music just by thinking it. You can do a session. Yeah, mental chess, doing it from memory. It's easy to cheat with them. No, I think they were all very honest though. Probably due to the situation that they were in. They didn't want to ruin the game. And at the end of the day, it's only a game. Oh, what was the book? Oh, it might have been The Art of Learning. Could have been The Art of Learning. Because another inspiring thing about that book was because it's about a guy who was a grand chess master, and then he became like a taekwondo world champion. And it's just how he applied himself. And one of the things, because he, at a young age, he was up against playing the Russians at chess. And the Russians would do lots of like psychology things to kind of put their opponents off. Like they would get like they might get just like one of the pawns and tap it to try and put you off, or they'd kick you under the table, or get up and go and talk to the manager, and they would do stuff to kind of distract your thoughts. And what this guy did was he kind of trained how to get away from those distractions. And what he used to do, he was like, I think he lived in New York, and he used to just go to a really rough place, I don't know, the Bronx or something, and he'd play street chess where everybody's like kind of shouting, getting excited and betting money and stuff like that. So he got right, yeah. But yes, so he would play in these really, really noisy environments to get used to it. So he didn't get distracted when he went up against the Russians, which I thought was good. But that just reinforces the idea of being able to make music under any circumstances. I mean, doing this live stream for me was like a big hurdle, because when I first did it, I'm kind of, I've got to write an idea from scratch, and At first I'd kind of do all my kind of moves to make sure that I'd come up with something, but like now I'm not bothered if things go really badly. That's just the way it is, isn't it? So the music I make's like, becomes more and more honest. Yes, Carl, but it's never too late. When I think back to a long summer as a teenager and my rapid progress on guitar, it was amazing what I could achieve in 6 weeks. And a lot of that was aimless. I was just trying stuff out and investing huge amounts of time into failed kind of experiments on guitar, because that's how we learn. We learn to make mistakes. But when we're older and wiser, we can be a little bit more strategic. So I'd bear that in mind, Carl. It's never ever too late to just get things going. And I think because, we're older and wiser, we don't waste as much time. It doesn't work like that. There would just be new ways to escape from working on skills. Okay. Right. Okay. So, just checking through the chat. Oh, there's plenty of chatting today, which is great. Yeah, no, it isn't. It's not. It's just, you just got to start, Carl. That's the thing. You got to identify, what it is you want. Right. The first thing is, right, is people don't always know what they want to do. Yeah. So, Carl, the first thing you need to work out is what it is that you actually want to do. And then just aim everything towards that. And as you do that, what it is you want will become more and more clearer, and it might change. You might have to change course, because that's the fun of it, So just kind of work that out. In fact, but I haven't had any emails from anybody. That's what I'll be doing in the coaching gym. If we get a group together, free coaching session, Carl, if you want one. If you email me, we can actually work out what it is you want to do by doing some free writing. How about that? Today's Thursday. If you wanted to give me an email, I could do a quick session later on. What time is it there? It could be this afternoon, my time. It's 12 a.m. You need to sleep, don't you? Well, actually, that might work out. What about 4 till 5, my time? If you send an email, I'll send you a Zoom link. And anybody else who's interested, if you send me an email, I will do a free coaching session 4 till 5 UK time. As I'm on holiday, and find out what you want to do. But if not, Carl, certainly send the email and you can have a free coach session. All right, and we'll work out, you can work out what you want to do. All right then. I'll see everybody later. We'll be on tomorrow, same again. Thank you for listening. Okay, bye.